Ever wonder why teens crave those thrills, chase big rewards, or why they are so hyper aware of what everyone thinks of them? It's not just the teen drama, it's science. The teenage brain is in overdrive with a heightened reward activation. Now this makes them hungry for recognition and excitement. When talking about nature versus nurture, which one is it? It's both. In this video, we're diving into how the environment and how biology work together to shape this critical period of a teenage life. Whether you're a teen trying to understand yourself and your own journey and what's going on in your brain and why you're doing what you're doing, or if you're a parent just trying to navigate through the tricky teenage years of your child. Either way, this video is for you. Adolescence isn't just a time of tricky and weird mood swings and big growth spurts. It's a time of big change in the teenage brain. We often hear about how impressionable the brain is at infancy and how much they take in and how their brain is like a sponge. But did you know this happens again in the teenage period? In this video, we'll be exploring more about what science says about the teenage brain. Trust me, what we'll be talking about in this video will help you a lot as a parent of a teenager or a teenager going through these tricky times and challenges. We all know that teenagers face unique challenges, whether it's heightened emotions, peer pressure, stress of academics or social expectations. But what's often misunderstood and not even taken into consideration is the way the teenage brain works, what's important in and to the teenage brain, and a few things we just should be taking into consideration to better understand what is actually going on in the mind of a teenager. For a teenager, all of these feelings can be really overwhelming and confusing. And for a parent, you could be asking, why is my teenager doing that all the time? I just don't understand it. The challenge of today is making that gap between understanding and misunderstanding slightly smaller. The first section or heading is neuroplasticity, teen brain in action. In these years, a teenager goes through heightened neuroplasticity, which in other words is a heightened ability to adapt and change based off the experience right in front of you. But also kind of means that you are very vulnerable to your environment as a teenager. More vulnerable to stresses, negative influences, peer pressures. This period of life sets the stage and foundation for years to come. So these years are pretty important when considering the rest of your life. Number 2, the eco-biodevelopmental model, where nature meets nurture. To really understand what's going on in that teenage brain of yours or your child's, we need to understand the interaction between biology and its environment. And this is what the eco-biodevelopmental model covers. A fancy way of saying that both our environment and our genes shape who we are and what goes on in here. The environment that kids grow up in, their friends, their teachers, their coaches, how you as a parent or your parents act. If teens face stress, trauma, bullying, any bad experiences pretty much, can make big changes to the brain and even sometimes reverse development. Number 3, epigenetics. This is just how life experiences affect the actual physical brain. Here's where it gets fascinating. Your environment can actually switch on and off certain genes and chemicals in your brain. So for example, if a teen experiences constant stress or bullying, their brain might develop in ways that makes them more prone to stress and become anxious later on. But the good news is this also works in reverse, in the positive. Positive support, resilience, positive experiences can help build resilience and strength in a positive way. Number 4, critical changes in the teenage brain. During adolescence or the teenage years, 4 major changes take place in the brain that can affect and bring upon mental disorders and affect your mental health. It's a critical period, number 1. This means that your brain is really sensitive to external influences, both positive and negative. And if something disrupts this process, it could contribute to bringing upon anxieties and stresses in years to come. Number 2, the second point, is cortical development. The outer part of your brain, the cerebral cortex, reorganizes itself during these years. This reorganization impacts our thinking, planning, and decision making, which explains why sometimes, or actually quite often, teenagers are making impulsive and silly decisions. Third point, and this is one of my favorite and most interesting, is an increased reward activation. Now, this answers the question about why teens are quite often thrill seekers, always doing things that don't necessarily make too much sense to an adult or a parent. A teenage brain is wired to seek out rewards, to chase the dopamine. Now, this obviously results in lots of new experiences and lots of risky behaviors. This can lead to both exciting opportunities and dangerous situations. The fourth point is puberty and social development. Puberty doesn't just bring around physical changes, but also affects the brain structure and the way the teenager sees what's in front of them. The teen becomes more aware of what people think of them, and the self-consciousness gets heightened. This whole dynamic becomes more important to them. They spend more time thinking about it. So this is a period in your life, in our lives, in everyone's lives, that your self-esteem is kind of made or broken down. If you don't do well in a social environment, you get social anxiety. And if you don't think you're doing well and people think good of you, then you can start developing a low self-esteem. So, what does this all even mean, and what can we take away from it? Understanding the teenage brain and why things happen the way they do is really important for both a parent and a teenager. For a teen, knowing that your brain is wired to take those risks and to be more emotional can help you understand and make sense of what you're going through each moment that it happens. For a parent, it's about noticing and realizing and recognizing that your teenager, daughter or son is not going out of his way all the time just to annoy you and be rebellious. There's a scientific reason behind these actions. The goal is to up your knowledge about these things and then create a lifestyle and an environment that helps and facilitates a healthy brain development. In other words, teenage years and adolescence years are packed with vulnerability, but also on the other end of the spectrum, opportunity. The teenage brain is capable of huge change and huge growth, but we need to understand that it is heavily affected by its environment and what it experiences. For a teen, this is a reminder to take care of yourself and to take care of your mental health. Ask for help when you need it and understand that your feelings are valid. Let the feelings feel. For the parents, this is a call and a reminder to provide a safe and nurturing environment where your teen can thrive both emotionally and mentally. It's now time to hear from you. Whether you're a teen or a parent, please share your experiences in the comment section below. What challenges have you faced? What challenges can you just not overcome? What challenges and events can you just not understand? And if this video was helpful at all, don't forget to like and subscribe for more of this. The goal of this channel is to make you the best version of you, or your teenager the best version of them. Together, we can make the teenage years a little bit easier to navigate, and when you come out of your teenage years, to be the best version of you.